Am I dumb or are you insecure? Am I slow or are you threatened by my intelligence? That is the question. Hi guys, welcome back to Clare's Kingdom, where we talk facts, walk fears, and remind the world that well-behaved women rarely make history.
You wake up, house up, run around in it, flossing on it. This diamond, my diamond, this rock, my rock. I woke up like this. I woke up like this.
Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we are here with a juicy one. Don't let them silence you. Don't let people diminish your intelligence, and don't let people put you in a box. So as someone who grew up in an education system which had different bands, different groups, I'm sure despite whatever part of the world you're in, you have different levels of, intellect, reading groups, maths classes, literature, English classes, whatever the case may be. Now, I'm starting with this point because I think this is where the whole idea of how smart someone is or how slow someone is or how intelligent someone is started from or boils down to. It used to be boiled down to what band you were, what set you were in. I'm based in London. In our schools, we had set 1, set 2, set 3, ranging all the way up to 8. Set 1 being the highest, of course, set 8 being lowest. And obviously, as you go up the school system, it definitely varies. Except for, like university and then like sixth form college, it gets a bit more nuanced than that. But yeah, there tends to be a hierarchy of intelligence and what's deemed to be smart or dumb. And for many years, centuries, intelligence or intellect was equivalent to how high grades you got. So let's say a student who's always getting A's would be seen as the genius or smart person, versus a student who may got C's, D's, or just about passed, or even B's, to be seen as average or below average, whatever criteria you want to mark it by. And I'm here to just challenge the narrative, number one, that your intellect is based on what a piece of paper said, because not to diminish people that achieve these high things, because I'm sure a lot of them do work hard, and even not to exclude myself from it, but to just speak from a third person perspective. It's very easy to try say, oh, because I got an A in this and A in that, I'm on top of the world. When in reality, I'm sure we've all heard the phrase that A students end up working for the C students, because a lot of the time, people that may not be academically inclined, or maybe they are, like, you can be both. I know for sure that I'm definitely both in many ways, where you can be very academically inclined, get high grades, be a very top student, but then you can also have a very nuanced approach to life, whether that's through creativity, whether that's through a different type of intelligence. For instance, I've come to find there are different types of intelligence. Like, you can be musically intelligent, you can be spatially intelligent, you can be linguistically intelligent. Like, there's so many types of intelligences out there. So never let anyone put you in a box to say, oh, because you're not good at math, you're dumb, or because you can't speak this language, or you can't do insert whatever to make you dumb. But anyways, to the main point of this video, I've come across many people, close, far, like I said, school systems, who will try to treat me like I'm dumb, stupid, or slow, especially when it boils down to your looks. People assume, especially if you're a good looking woman, that you may be slow or dumb. And in my case, anyways, in where this video was inspired, I don't even think it comes down to that. Of course, I think jealousy plays a huge role, especially in the community of women, where you notice how some women may talk down on you, or belittle you, or act like your perspective is just one of a child, or one of a dramatic person, emotional person, when in reality you're just speaking truth, speaking your mind, speaking facts. And I've found, especially when you're in environments where certain women, certain individuals are used to being the smartest in the room, they get threatened when you as a powerful woman walk in and you're not even trying to show off, but when you speak, and they know that you're speaking sense. They know you're speaking from not only a place of intellect, but of true intuition. Like, one thing that I've found that is so powerful, like, many people can speak from book knowledge, textbook knowledge. Many people can speak from street knowledge, but I think it takes a very powerful person to speak from both logic and spirit, from both logic and intuition, from both what can be seen and what cannot be seen. And it takes a very rare soul person to do that. And when you're that person, it definitely shakes feathers. And if you've ever been in that position where people underestimate you, honestly, I love being underestimated, because when I pop out, it's just going to just leave people's jaws on the floor. But you find that people dismiss you. They're quick to shut you down. They don't want to hear you out. It's like they'll praise mediocre intellect, or they'll praise people that are less threatening, but then they dismiss you. And I used to be so offended by this until I realized, like, wow, that's probably where my power is. That's probably where your power is. Growing up, I'm sure we've heard, growing up, I had my own teachers. Like, I made a video about this called Triple Threat Women and the Workplace, or the education system. So make sure you guys watch that. By so many teachers that I wouldn't make it, that I wasn't good enough, I wasn't smart enough, that, yeah, just trying to break down my confidence and knowledge, even though by the grace of God, I overcame each stage. It was just a lot of that. And that also stems from relative people and finding that they will downgrade you. Or let's say there's an argument going on, or there's a commotion, and then you try to bring in your own solution. You'll find out they're the first ones to break you down or silence you. Like, I remember there was a situation where these two people were having let's say a bow or arguing, right? And I stepped in, being the calm, collected individual that I am. And then this person who was clearly threatened by the fact that I was intervening came to me and said, "Oh, don't worry about so and so, my name. She's just talking, you know her." And I remember just past me would have probably just like tried to defend myself, tried to like, what? But when I tell you, the silence was loud. Like, I just went mute, and I just, when I tell you, I opted out so quickly, especially when there's a lot of like, power dynamics, which I'm not even going to get into right now. But you'll find that when people are threatened by your intelligence, they do stuff like that, or they pull stuff like that. Because if I was really slow, if I was really just talking, and I'm sure we've seen many times in the workplace, in family, wherever the case is, that if someone was really slow or someone was really out of it, you wouldn't even care to acknowledge. Like, you'd probably agree and not even agree. You might even just say, okay, or you might even say, don't worry about it. Like, you wouldn't go out of your way to try and make that person feel bad or dumb, or like they don't matter. Like, I don't think healthy people do that. But yeah, we always talk about mansplaining, when men try to overcorrect women, or men try to insert themselves in women's business, or try to teach them something that they already know. That could be in a work job, it could be generally speaking, but we never talk about women-splaining. And I'm not sure if that's a thing. It could be, but this is just something that came to me. Like, women-splaining is something I haven't heard a lot of people talk about. And it's this idea that because in your mind, like in some women's mind, they think they're above you socially, perhaps because of looks, perhaps because of status, because of whatever thing they've told themselves to make them believe that they're superior to you. So now it's like they act from a place of superiority or superiority complex, and then they go to start mansplaining you. Like, I remember this woman was telling me about how emotional, intelligent she was, and I remember just sitting there like, nodding. I didn't even think I nodded. I was just like, the irony, because emotionally intelligent people, number one, don't bombard people with their trauma. Like, I was talking to someone who, literally, guys, when I tell you they approached someone with their trauma, like, said, "Oh, apparently you went through and the insert trauma," and this is someone that claims to be emotionally intelligent, by the way. And I'm in my head, I'm like, who does that? Like, how do you just go up to someone and just start talking about their trauma as if it's like a casual, Tuesday, just a casual, like, how's the weather? Like, you don't do that to people. And this is someone that is very, like, convinced that they're emotionally intelligent. Like, emotional intelligence is all about not only just understanding emotions and knowing how to tend to situations, but being able to read the room. And this can also tie into social intelligence, but being able to read the room, being able to read the emotional temperature of the person you're talking to, or the people you're talking to, knowing when and when it's not appropriate to address certain things. It's just, yeah, that's a whole thing. But my life experience is just seeing things that women, especially men, of course, but in this situation, I'm talking about women, that their identity is tied to how smart they are or how smart they've been. Like, I know women in their 20s, 30s, still talking about how they were the top of the class in high school. And I'm not saying that you can't be proud of things like that, but how are you 30 years old and your biggest flex is, I got A's in high school? Like, how has life not to come from a judgmental place, guys? I promise you, this is very sincere, and I'm speaking very objectively here. But how is it that 10 years plus, decades later, or a decade or so later, your biggest achievement is still you got A's in high school. And these are the type of women that think they're above or look down on women who actually and actively cultivate their life. They're building businesses, they're completing degrees, they're completing courses, they're getting PhDs, they're becoming lawyers, doctors, nurses, all these things. And somehow, because maybe they weren't the most brightest of kids in school, maybe they didn't get the A's, maybe they didn't get the highest, but they did decent enough to keep going. They sustained their life, they maintained their life. They're continuously on an upward trajectory. But somehow, in a lot of women's minds, they think, oh, because I was an A student, now I'm better than everyone. And yet, life, like nothing for their current life can actually show for it. And you definitely see these dynamics in like systems or family structures where, like, let's say there's a golden child who's used to being the one that achieves everything. And then you see the child that may be more gifted, or the chosen child, business oriented or just outside the norm, being a threat and being very intelligent in that sense, being seen as a threat. And how do they try to silence you when you're this person? They try to second guess you, like I said, they belittle you. Everything you say or do, they try to monitor you, try to mimic you, and yet pull you down at the same time. It's a very weird thing to be in. And another thing, I'm going to make a separate video about this, where they try to mix your achievements, or they try to enmesh who you are as a person. Like they try to put you guys in the same boat. Like I used the example earlier about how women may use an achievement made in their youth, childhood, or teenhood and try to make it equivalent to who you are today as a person, of what you've built, what you've sweat, blood, tears for. They try to equate it. For example, they will make your achievements general, again, to maintain a pedestal that they have for themselves. So instead to say, let's say you just, graduated from nursing school, from medical school, and instead to say, oh, congratulations, you just graduated from medical school, they'll say, yes, now we're both educated. Yes, we're both educated. And it's so small, it's so subtle. You have to really be paying attention to realize what they're doing. It's like they can't put a shine on your achievements, because then it takes them off the pedestal they've put themselves on. So instead to say, you know what, you did your thing, it's like, no, we did our thing. And it's such a weird thing. I'm definitely going to unpack that in further videos. And it definitely could tie into narcissism. Like I said, like narcissists cannot see themselves, so they have to do everything in their power to create some sort of image, or even use you to boost the fake image they hold for themselves. And they always feel like they have to be the top dog when it's very apparent that they're not. And that's one thing I've realized about these women, especially, or people, is that they're very tone deaf. Like, you don't really read the room. Like, if you know me, I'm a very musical kind of woman. So Hamilton is one of my favorite musicals, and in one of the songs, Burr was talking to Hamilton, and was basically saying, he said, why do you assume you're the smartest in the room? Soon that attitude is going to be your doom. Basically saying that when you walk around in life thinking you know it all, thinking that nothing beats you, and don't get me wrong, you can definitely get to a place where you know your worth, you know what you've achieved, you've known what you've worked for and you've cultivated, and you can hold that sense of achievement and accomplishment and intellect and eligibility to say, you know what, I can do this, I am skilled for this, I am certified for this. There's nothing wrong with that. But I'm talking about people who think, especially when it's built on delusion, that they're always the top dog, they're always the smartest, they always know right, they know everything. Like, they can't be taught, they can't be disproved. No, there's no room for growth. Those are very dangerous people. And like from that song, soon that attitude will be your doom, because you will meet the wrong person. You will walk into situations and realize, no, you did not know it all. And that's another thing that I find, which is so ironic. These people that think they're on top of the world seem to carry a sense of naivete. And I think the most dangerous thing about it, and if you recognize yourself in this, I hope this could be a chance for you to actually expand your mind, your horizons. But what I find is that the irony is that these people who think they're so powerful and put themselves on these pedestals carry this sense of naivete where they don't actually realize the reality. Like, people that think they're these things that they're not, and they walk around the world like they are, and it just takes one bad day, it just takes one wrong person for you to run into to realize, like, no, maybe you weren't the smartest in the room. Maybe you just needed to just be quiet, talk less, and listen more. But yeah, don't threaten. The whole point of this video is just to bring awareness, and to realize that if your intellect or your voice is being torn down in whatever way, like online, in person, your singing voice, your talking voice, you're just sharing your opinion, if that's ever attacked, just know that you're probably meant to do big things and you're going to be doing good and big things with it. Like, look at me here, still making videos, guys. When I told you people were attacking me, like even the way I spoke, saying I wasn't a clear speaker, and all these things that could have stopped me. Even in my real life, people telling me I talk too much or I think too deeply, too sensitive. All these things that are allowing me to sit here and unpack these kind of topics and validate other women or other people's experiences. And I wouldn't trade that for the world. So yeah, just keep going, guys. Don't let anyone put you in a box. You are not dumb. You are not slow. And even if you think you are, you can always learn. Like, this journey of leveling up, becoming powerful, it never stops. Read your books, get educated, go to work, start your business, do what you have to do, but never stop learning, and never let anyone put you in a box, because you may not be good at math, you may not be good at reading or literature, but maybe your calling is in art. Maybe you're meant to do something with your hands. Maybe you're supposed to use your language skills, your musical skills, spatial skills. Maybe it's about your eyes, the way you see things, the way you're able to see details that people miss. There's so many ways your mind differs from the next person. So never think because you don't fit into a rigid system, a rigid education system, or a rigid workplace, never think because of that you're unworthy or you're stupid or you're counted out, because no, there is space for you. And if there isn't, that's why you're here to make the space. Yeah. Make sure you guys like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.
I woke up like this, we flawless. Ladies, tell them I woke up like this. I woke up like this, we flawless. Ladies,